Now, how does the saying go, buy a Rolex to impress others, buy a Grand Seiko to impress yourself? I mean, I kind of agree with that, but I can't fully agree with it because when you have a dial like this SBGH269, you're gonna be impressing more people than just yourself. Now, today's market, and especially the day of social media, we see a lot of hype around specific brands like Rolex, AP, Patek, and that's not gonna go away anytime soon. And there's also a long list of other brands that also get quite a bit of hype. But there's, in this realm of just watch enthusiasts, there's another brand that's starting to get a lot more attention, which I'm happy about because unlike a lot of other brands, I think it is completely warranted. And I'm talking, of course, about Grand Seiko. A brand that now has surged on as one of the most beloved and hyped that I have seen as of late, simply creating great value for money luxury watches that don't sell status, but handcrafted finishing, and a name that will have many of those unaware questioning, so it's just a Seiko, right? But for those with an understanding of the brand, quickly realize the level of watchmaking taking place here, especially when looking at watches like this Grand Seiko SBGH269. A limited edition piece produced in late 2019 of just 900 pieces, coming in a beautiful piercing red dial, created to reflect the changing seasons of autumn with a red teakwood style finish to replicate the floorboards in traditional Japanese architecture. And yes, given the seasonal aesthetic of this watch, I'm probably a season late here, but when a friend offers their Grand Seiko to review on the channel, you don't turn that opportunity down. Now this watch comes in with a case size of 39.5 millimeters, case thickness of 13 millimeters, lug to lug of 46.8 millimeters, water resistance of 100 meters, has a sapphire crystal, and a movement and automatic Grand Seiko 9S85. Starting with the watch on the wrist, we have a nicely sized timepiece with a sharp angled case that feels familiar given the several Sarb and Sarks models that I have handled in the past, but this one takes it to a whole nother level. The watch showcases an insane bevel on the lugs and the side of the case that almost has you mistaking what actually is the anterior side of the case when looking at it straight on. This heavily sharp finish is achieved as a result of what Grand Seiko calls their Zaratsu polishing, which yes, is all executed by hand, making the symmetry of the finish here on both sides even more noteworthy. Looking at it from the side, this certainly isn't the thinnest watch around with 13 millimeters of thickness on the case, but any concerns about it wearing too thick go away given how angled the lugs are, tucking nicely under the case and improving the wear on the wrist. And then adding its 47 millimeters lug to lug in a 39.5 millimeter case, this is a very nicely sized watch, walking a fine middle ground while making it compatible with a wide variety of wrists. Looking towards the bracelet, it's well constructed while maintaining a lightweight feel, featuring primarily brushed finishing with polished outer portions at the center. It is quite comfy and has a simple 2-button locking system with a nicely executed Grand Seiko logo on the clasp. Packing this all together, you have a watch that wears both dressy and sporty and maintains the same level of versatility in its wear that I think many of us have come to love with the more affordable Seiko counterparts. Beneath the sapphire crystal, we have a dial that is nothing short of extraordinary and to me is the real star of the show here. So from afar, you can begin to see the inspiration from the wooden floorboards that this is based on, but like any Grand Seiko, the details are where it really starts to shine. Looking close, you can start to notice the small rib finishing on the dial that can't really even be appreciated given the human eye's inability to really magnify to this degree. But I believe this is the type of attention to detail why so many people just really have become enamored with Grand Seiko overall, as everything done within the details is never obvious and makes the experience of wear layered in new points of appreciation as time goes on. Now I'm a bit more conservative with my style, so when I first saw this red dial, I wasn't just crazy about it, but the more and more I wore it, the more and more I realized that you could totally pull this off in a lot of different scenarios with the casing, how it actually wears on the wrist, and I mean, the red does just look sleek, and when you can get just further appreciation for just the craftsmanship that goes into this when you're wearing it a little bit more. There's just hidden details of this watch that really make themselves known after a longer period of time. At the center of the dial, we have the traditional Grand Seiko sword-style hands with sharp angled edges that match the applied indices and the outline date window at the 3 that really do just kind of shine and reflect in the light. At the 12, it applied GS logo with a gold colored accent complementing the smooth sweep of the high beating second hand that paces over the markers. The watch in its operation does kind of work traditionally here. So unscrewing the easy to engage screw down crown with the help of a small little notch in the case, you can change the date by rotating at the first position and adjusting the time while stopping the seconds at the farthest pulled out position. Now, when thinking of Grand Seiko, a few things that come to mind, of course, are the dial finishing, the case finishing, but another thing that I think needs to be considered, of course, is just their movements. And top of mind is usually the spring drive. I mean, it's groundbreaking in terms of what it was able to accomplish, and the sweep, it truly is an iconic form of contemporary watchmaking. But another thing, if you're looking at the history of Grand Seiko, King Seiko, that often comes up is their high beat movement. So that's what we're looking at in this particular watch. And although it's not gonna have the same clean sweep that a spring drive would, which almost seems just too perfect, this one you're still gonna get the kind of love of mechanical movement at a higher beat rate than that of the standard 4 Hertz watches that you'll see constantly on the market. And when flipping the watch over, you get a glimpse of the automatic 9S85 movement. Admittedly, when I first looked at the case back on this piece, I was a bit disappointed as the movement is pretty much hidden completely by the circular green rotor with hollowed out points. And although I don't think I can say I would prefer this to a partial semicircle rotor, the details of the rotor certainly helped my personal leanings to a more traditional rotor style in comparison to this, once taking a little bit closer examination of it. For one, it is produced from titanium and is also anodized to be blue-green to match the leaves yet to transition in the fall transition of the leaves in the Japanese autumn. And in the process provides a nice pop of color to the back, as it does come in great supply on the front, so seems fitting here. Looking within the hollowed points, we can get a glimpse of the automatic 9S85, an in-house mechanical caliber that is not quite to the same level in terms of accuracy that a spring drive will be able to accomplish, but is still no slouch. The caliber operates at 5 Hertz, 36,000 vibrations per hour, 37 joules, has a power reserve of 55 hours, and in terms of accuracy, we're looking at plus 5 seconds a day to minus 3 seconds a day when static, and then plus 8 seconds a day to minus 1 second a day when wearing the watch normally. Now, there's not much more that needs to be said about Grand Seiko, as I think they're producing some of the best watches on the market for the money. And as many rival watchmakers rely heavily on hype to sell their products, Grand Seiko just focuses on providing customers meticulously constructed watches with great specifications. And although the SBGH269 might not be the most conventional pick compared to other models from the brand, and probably wouldn't be my choice for getting my first Grand Seiko, very few watches can match its uniqueness in its use of color, while packaging it with many of the familiar yet never dull characteristics Grand Seiko fans have come to expect. And after completing this review, my first review of a Grand Seiko on this channel, the only things I have left to think about are, why is this my first Grand Seiko watch I've ever reviewed on this channel? Why don't I have one in my collection? I need to get one. And then also, I need to review a lot more of them in the future. All right guys, so if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Also, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Grand Seiko. I know for many just watch enthusiasts, the brand is very beloved, but now with a lot of shift going into the US market, how do you think the brand will fare? Do you think that it could actually pop into, say, I would say more mainstream consumers? Do you think they have the opportunity to do that? I'd love to see some insight and comments you guys have down below. Also, big thanks to Chris. He's been a follower of the channel for a long time. Lives by me in kind of Northeast Ohio here, and dropped off his Grand Seiko for me to review. So big thank you and shout out to him. Also guys, if you're in the market for any watch straps, watches, no better places than tinybaldassarre.com and Bob's Watches. Links in the description. Using those links also support me and what we're doing here. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.